Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. Today is Thursday, April the 3rd, Liberation Day, Cecil. Historic day. We have been liberated from the Dow Jones Industrial highs, from the S&P 500 highs.
The Dow got liberated about like 3 trillion today, I think it was.
We've been liberated of your 401k. Hey, don't check that balance.
Hey, man, I haven't looked since Trump got in and I ain't looking. I'm just like, it's like one of those things where you know it's broken. You're like, I 100% know that I dropped this CD down the stairs or whatever it is.
Man.
And you're like, I am not going to open it. I'm just going to slowly put it back in its place and pretend I didn't touch it. And if Sarah sees it later, I'll be like, oh, did you break it?
What? How did that even happen? You must have broken it when you picked it up off the floor.
That's what I want. That's what I want is somebody to like, I want Trump to like completely ruin everything and then be like, dude, look what you did.
Dude, did you
because that's
break
exactly what he's going to do.
There's nothing. Like, where are all the people? Where are all the people like, buddy's good for the economy?
Yeah, man. Where's your economy?
Good for the economy.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, like, check your stocks, check your portfolio, check your 401k,
Where
check
my
your
economy
retirement.
libertarians at?
Where's it at, man? Where's it at? Jesus Christ.
It's for the economy. I don't really care about social stuff. I just want a better economy. Well, yeah, man, you should have picked somebody else other than the fucking the Project 2025 guy.
Dude, all he had to do, the economy was like roaring. It was in good shape. All he had to do was just put shit on cruise control and take credit.
Dude, he could have just fucking done the fluff shit that he loves about The Office. And he could have just shut the fuck up about everything else. But I think he just wants to show everybody, one, I think he wants to punish a bunch of people. And two, I think he just wants to prove to everybody that he's some kind of fucking genius. Yeah. And that's going to be real hard because you're not all that smart, man.
Well, I mean, they didn't exactly do good math here with these tariffs. You know?
Yeah. Did you see that they were... The joke is that they just took our trade deficits from these places and then used...
And they didn't even figure out, like, so these are supposed to be reciprocal punitive tariffs.
Yeah.
So if France is tariffing the U.S. at 21%, well, we're going to tariff you back at 21%. It's supposed to be reciprocal.
We're rubber, they're glue, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But instead, they didn't even do that fucking work because that work is actually kind of hard and complicated to figure out.
Hard to think of. Yeah, hard to look at.
Took out an envelope and turned it around to the back. And some guy got his fucking iPhone calculator out, and they're like, it's about this or that divided by the other thing.
I was
bada
reading.
Boom, bada bing, 36%.
I was reading about it, and essentially what they're saying is, if they do that sort of thing, we're always going to have a trade deficit with a lot of different countries. That's just how it's going to work because some countries don't have a lot of population, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They just give us we buy a lot of shit from there, and then they don't buy a lot of shit back. But that's just how trade works. That's just how international trade works. Sometimes you buy a lot of stuff from people, sometimes you don't. It's it's like a fucking Mounds and an Almond Joy. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. And then these guys are like, yeah, well, that's what we're going to do is we're just going to flip and you're like, dude, if you flip the trade deficit on some of these really small nations, then you never get anything. And they're doing this very specifically, this tariff thing. And all the Republicans that I've seen talk about this, all talk about trying to get manufacturing jobs back here. But that misses so many different things. One, you're not going to manufacture certain things like bananas or coffee. Like those are things we can't even do.
Why don't we just grow some bananas in Alaska or something?
We can't even do that. We have to import a lot of different things.
Where's your can-do American spirit, Cecil?
Yeah, well, and the other thing, the other big issue is that when you're creating these tariffs, you're making it so that there will be sort of in the future this American manufacturing base. So you're not fucking manufacturing, I don't know, fucking box fans here because you're getting them for cheap overseas, but we're going to tariff the fuck out of these box fans. So you got to make them here. And there's an incentive in some ways to make them here, because if you can, then you can beat the market because your product's not being tariffed, right? So you could bring in all the parts and do all that stuff. Well, one, the parts may be tariffed, so it may just increase all the problems with that, which is what the auto industry is going through right now. All their fucking parts are tariffed. And so they're trying to beg on their knees which parts aren't going to be tariffed. But even if, let's just presume that you do it all in-house, you make it all in-house, what happens when Trump leaves? What if they take the fucking tariffs down? Then you created an entire fucking system that was based on these tariffs, and now they're fucking gone. And now you're like, well, what the fuck? I did all this stuff, and so there's no guarantee. So if I'm a fucking investor, why on earth would I look to the United States and be like, yeah, I'm gonna build something there? Instead, I would go somewhere else and then sell to the rest of the world because they're all dealing without us now.
Yeah, it's not like there's not a rest of the world.
Yeah.
We are, are we the, biggest consumer in, yes, we are. We are by far the biggest consumer economy in the world. But there's still 7.5 billion people, of which only 370 million are here. So there's plenty of other fucking consumers. It's also the case that it takes a really long time to build up a manufacturing base.
Yeah, man.
It takes a decade. This is exactly what you were pointing out. Like, this is a decade-long or longer strategy. And he's going to try to execute it now and expect to see results. Now, the results we're going to see now are going to be, like a wildly collapsing stock market, the collapse of everybody's portfolio, 401k, IRA, retirement. We're going to see, like, job losses.
Massive job losses.
Crazy.
Already you're seeing it.
Massive job losses. This is a economic this is a disaster, an absolute disaster. What I hope happens, Cecil, because I'm afraid of this. I am afraid of the economic fallout of this. I am afraid that this will tip the country into a deep recession that will have real impacts on myself and people I love. I am worried about that.
Sure.
I think that's very, very possible. So what I hope happens is that he gets a couple of little victories where he negotiates some bullshit that never mattered in the first place, and he probably could have negotiated anyway, and then says, all right, boys, turn those tariffs around, yeehaw, and he declares victory. And it all was the short-term thing, and he can strut around like the dumbass peacock he thinks he is. Because if these tariffs have any legs to them, if they last at all, it is going to be, I am really afraid that we are going to see a recession worse than we saw in 2008. Yeah. I really think that's very, very possible.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really bad. But I think a couple of things. We'll cover a story later where they're talking about maybe changing how tariffs work. One of the senators wants to, or one of the either Congress people or senators wants to introduce a bill to try to figure that out. But you saw this week that they voted, it didn't matter, but they still voted, the Senate voted against the tariffs on Canada. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Yes. So the Kentucky senators, both the Kentucky senators said no, and two other people said no. And it doesn't matter because it still has to go to the House, which the House is fucking rubber stamping anything Trump wants. So they wouldn't allow it anyway. But even if they did, Trump can just veto it. And then it comes back to the fucking Senate. And the Senate, the Senate's going to, you need to get 3/4 of those votes or whatever it is, 66 votes or some shit. You'll never get that.
Yeah, you never get a veto-proof bill passed. It's not going to happen in this.
That won't happen.
It's never going to happen.
That won't happen, no.
What it does show is that there are sensible people who are like, hey, this is going to we can't be on the fucking Trump train on this. This is fucking crazy. And I do hope that there's something approaching some kind of an open revolt on the right. And I think that the economic pain that this is going to inflict might cause that.
I think you're right. And I think what might happen, and I don't know, but what might happen is even before these things take place, there is a group of people who are already pushing back, already suggesting different plans of how to handle this. So there's already, and these are Republicans. These aren't Democrats. Of course, the Democrats are pushing back, but there's other ones, right? So if they're already doing it now, what happens on the 5th when they actually go through? Is there going to be some real issue then where it's okay, now they actually went through. Now there might be even more people who join this side, and it might see more and more and more people. If you get enough votes on the other side, you don't need the entire House and Senate. You only need a quarter of the votes on the Republican side to come over. You don't need them all. You just need like a quarter of the votes that they have to come on over and be like, okay, yeah, there's 12 or 16 of you or something like that. That's plenty. We're good. We can pass this. Then we could pass it again when he vetoes it. So then we take away his veto power. You know, they could create a bill that essentially says you don't get to do this anymore. That's not up to you anymore. And they could actually do that. If there's enough will for them to do it, they could do it. So you could see it. You might also see a reprieve if they could do something like that and say 2026. You could see maybe a reprieve if it goes shitty for 2 years, maybe it might not be, but God, who wants shitty 2 years?
Well, and the thing is, like, that damage doesn't just like
it doesn't
wind itself down.
It doesn't go
and
away.
The other part of these fucking tariffs is we're talking about like the cost of these tariffs worldwide. The other countries are retaliating. They're already formulating a plan to retaliate. So we are trying to hurt them. They are trying to hurt us. At the bottom line, we at the ground level, we eat all of the shit.
Yeah.
We eat shit from every direction.
It's ours to eat.
By the time we're finished, half your district will think you're a Marxist, and the other half will think you've got every DC Craigslist hooker on speed dial.
This is from the Hill, Cecil. Liberal candidate wins Wisconsin Supreme Court race in blow to Trump and Musk, and a real devastating blow to the Musk I can buy elections strategy.
Yeah.
Because he spent a lot of fucking money trying to buy this election, and he failed. And he failed by a lot, almost 10 points.
Yeah, it didn't work up there. Now, the two Florida races went to the candidates, but those races were a lot closer. A lot closer than they were before during the actual election. They were there was a lot more of a swing in those places towards the Republican, and they trimmed that down quite a bit. More damage causes more issues with the Republicans. And this is a perfect example too. They've been trying to really switch this seat. They've been doing their damnedest to try to make sure that this is something that comes, that they are the ones in charge of the Supreme Court. They lost before. There was another big race maybe a year and a half ago, as I recall, where there was another big race for this up there. And so they've been trying to flip this like crazy, and they haven't been able to do it. So
thank God.
Thank you, Wisconsin. Wisconsin pulls through twice, and that's amazing.
And by a strong margin, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think, you pointed out those races in Wisconsin. I think one of them went 40 points. There was a 40-point spread in one of those districts, and it was winnowed down to 14.
Yeah.
To 14. That's
in
big
Florida. In Florida,
difference.
You said Wisconsin.
Oh, I'm sorry. In Florida. You're right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a huge differential. It's like there's not a lot of energy on the Democratic side that's like proactive, forward excitement, right?
Yeah.
That's just true.
Yeah.
But there is a reactionary energy that is very, very real. And I do wonder sometimes, Cecil, in politics, if that reactionary energy isn't almost always stronger.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just feel like people vote against more than they often vote for.
Yeah, and I think like there's also just I think a lot of times the Democratic Party just doesn't seize on the things that they need to seize on in order to make sure that they could sweep other people up. I'm happy to see a lot of these left candidates coming in and doing all of that extra work right now and trying to do some of that stuff. I am seeing other Democratic candidates like Tim Walz is doing some of that work, going out there trying to make sure that people understand that they're there. I saw Eric Swalwell doing this. So there's a bunch of people that are, younger Democrats, and then there's Tim Walz and other people who are doing it. And so there is a push, and I hope that they find their message, and I hope that they're able to convince people. What I'm still seeing is this sort of like this, the left is still very fractured right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm still seeing people on the left, like they hate liberals, they shit libs, you guys fucking suck. And you're just like, okay, man, like that's like your little tiny little sliver of people is never going to win an election. You got to ally yourself with somebody. And they seem to hate the liberals more than they hate other people. And I'm like, dude, like if a liberal wants to work with me, I'm going to work with them. Like I don't understand this absolute vitriol that they have.
No, yeah.
And I just don't get it. I'm like, man, you're going to dig your own grave for years and years and years and years if you don't get your shit together and get a large group of people that are all on the same page. And it's just like they're stifling themselves. It's hard for me not to think that there's some sort of outside information or propaganda that's getting in there that's seething this and sort of churning it so that the left can never unify. It really feels like that. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but that's what it feels like. It feels like there's never been in the last 8 years, there hasn't been.
Well, but Cecil, I don't know that that's conspiratorial so much as it is like a reasonably well-founded belief based on what we know about the way that Russia has used its propaganda to drive wedges and accelerate issues in order to splinter opposition to what they want. I mean, we've seen it happen. I mean, it's not conspiratorial. It's proven that that's what they've been working on, so I don't know that that's conspiratorial at all. I think you're exactly right. The proof here is I think everybody has to acknowledge, unless you're fucking insane, you have to acknowledge that everything that's going on right now, the crazy deportations, the immigration policies of cruelty and means to the firings that are going on, the dismantling of all of our government agencies, the wild economic warfare that we're waging just fucking against the entire world for question mark reasons. And I could go on. None of that would have happened. Like, if you're like, they're all the same person, like, they're not. If Harris had won, literally none of those things that I just mentioned would have happened. One of those things has to matter to somebody, right? So that has to be one of the issues for someone. Everyone's got an issue that matters more to them, right? Our hearts are touched, our wallets are touched, our brains are touched by something. It has to matter more to you. So, you have to acknowledge that this is not a both sides of the same world anymore. Like, if you're in that camp, you're unreachable.
What is this? Every time I turn around, I get this Russian bitch on my terminal.
And see, so that's a pretty good segue to this story from the Daily Beast. Influencer paid by Russia added to White House press pool. So this is Tim Pool. Tim Pool was
Beanie
one of
Baby.
Yeah. This is one of the fuckwits who was caught up in the Russian scandal where Russia was basically propagandists were paying a bunch of right-wing influencers.
$400,000 an episode, man.
Dude.
Jesus.
Look, here's the thing. Cecil.
I only need to do one episode.
I would not parrot right-wing talking points for that kind of money. I would, however, think long and hard about it. I really would. I wouldn't sell out. I really wouldn't because the stakes are way too high.
Well, I think I can't lie to you. I just can't. I'm not going to lie to people. I can't lie to people. It's funny because
look, if somebody who said hey, I'll give you $100,000 to get on a microphone and say your favorite pizza's Tombstone Pizza, I'd be like, yes, because the stakes are zero.
Yeah,
what's the worst thing that happens? Somebody buys a Tombstone Pizza and it's not their favorite pizza? Who fucking cares? It's not the same as hey, we deported some guy to fucking El Salvador and we oopsied it.
And then we oopsied him and now we're not sure we can get him back. Yeah, no,
we're
I
not even
agree.
Gonna try real hard.
I agree. But what I see from these guys, what's so funny is both him and Dave Rubin, were targeted by Russia and they created, basically they were paid to mimic these talking points. There's a whole indictment by the Justice Department against these people. And so they were paid this money, $400,000 a show, an intense amount of money. And this is Russian propaganda that they're spreading. And if you look at all their talking points, it's all Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
And you're look, you can lie and say I didn't know. But when I look at your talking points, they're literally all Russian, man. Everything you say is Russian. At a certain point, there's only so much I'm going to believe. You could say I didn't know that I was getting $400,000 to say Ukraine is the aggressor here or whatever.
Yeah,
but at a certain point, you just got to be okay, man, come on. Who are you crapping?
Well, also, if you find out that your entire worldview just happens to coincide unwittingly with what the Russian propagandists want.
Yeah.
Should that not be a moment of sober self-reflection?
Yeah, you gotta wake up.
If I found out, if somebody said hey man, it turns out all your takes on CogDis have really been in keeping with this fucking Nazi book that I just read, I'd be well, I have bad ideas. I gotta really rethink my whole fucking life. I've got bad ideas.
Yeah, man.
Also, like, fucking the arrogance of that. Like, if somebody came to me and said, Tom, I'm going to pay you $400,000 an episode, I'd be like, who are you?
Yeah.
I am not worth $400,000 an episode.
Yeah.
I'm
Tim
not.
Pool is definitely not worth
Neither is Tim
$400,000.
Pool.
Yeah.
So, like, how ridiculously hubristic is this for you to think like, oh man, somebody's going to pay me fucking hundreds of thousands. Look, man, you don't have anything that interesting to say. You're being played.
Yeah.
You are a fucking mouthpiece for someone else. Are you that stupid? And the answer is like either that or greedy.
They're greedy. Come on. They knew. These guys, you know what? I don't believe it. I can't prove it. But gosh, you gotta think they fucking knew. Nobody walks up to you with like, if that's the case, then they never once checked that gift's horse teeth. You know what I mean? You know that they would have. Come on. I mean, like $400,000. Nobody walks up and offers you $400 fucking grand, man. I don't care what you do.
No, you can just, the value. Like if you're producing a show of some kind, you can value out your show based on your audience. The math is not terribly difficult to do. There's fucking calculators you can basically look up online to help figure that shit out. So if somebody walks up to you with a fucking like comically oversized bag of money with dollar signs all over it and a fucking heavy Russian accent, and they're like, all right, hello, it's Natasha. I'm here to be giving you $400,000. Well, maybe I'm a Russian tool. Maybe I'm actually being used as a fucking Russian tool. Yeah. Best case scenario, though, if you're caught up in this, right? If you're Dave Rubin, do you not have to say, hey, I wasn't corrupt, I was stupid?
It's one or the other, homeboy. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. Yeah.
I guess the third is like, no, naturally, all of my views are Russian propaganda.
Yeah, all of my views happen to be Russian propaganda. That's a coincidence, by the way.
I am organically
I just thought it all. I was like, oh, no, of course Ukraine's the aggressor. Don't be stupid. I read a paper. It might have been Russian. I'm not sure. And that's where I got. I want to talk about adding these people to the press pool is so amazing to me because, like, you're going to add these fucking absolute fucking idiots. These people who just, they haven't had an original thought because it's been fucking dripped into their veins from Russia for so many years. Yep. So I don't know. They haven't had an original thought in a long time. But I'll tell you what, they're taking out people like fucking AP. They're not going to be there. Like these journalists, these hard journalists who've been there for decades, right? In the press pool, those people are gone, and you're going to have fucking Beanie Baby sitting out there, and he's going to ask some dumbass, really leading, easy question, some softball fucking question to that fucking bobblehead who stands up there and answers them, and then nothing's going to happen. Like what we're going to do is we're going to dilute that pool over and over again with more Tim Pool, and then you're going to wind up with fucking no questions ever asked that aren't, why is Trump so great and why does he make it so hard for us to not love him?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's going to be the question. And you're like, well, fucking who needs that?
This is like so obviously the neutering of the fourth estate.
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is a neutering of the fourth estate so that truth is never questioned and power is never held to account.
You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?
Yes.
All right, this story comes from the New Republic. The biggest scandal of the second Trump term isn't Signalgate. The national security chat debacle certainly merits attention, but the Trump administration is now blatantly disappearing students and others who are in the country legally.
Second one this week. Second one. Yeah, it was like late last week when there was a Tufts student who just happened to be involved in some of these protests there, and they just like brought him. They essentially abducted this person in plain clothes. Did you see the video?
I did. Yeah, it's fucking wild, man. It's absolutely wild. These are people, by the way, who are in the country on visas. They are legally here on visas. And from what I have read, and I don't want to pretend that I'm some kind of fucking legal beagle, but like from what I have read, if you are here on a visa, your freedom of speech is generally thought to be protected. So they had not broken any laws. They didn't get arrested for a crime. I think that's really important to note as well. So these people were engaged in a process, which was a perfectly legal process for which they were not arrested. They will not be tried. They will not be given due process.
Yeah.
But instead, they are just being kicked the fuck out of the country. That's what's happening. They're just being like picked up and deported.
And it's for speech that this administration doesn't like.
Yep.
So everybody out there who for the last, 10 years has been screaming and fucking like nails on the chalkboard about free speech, right? Yep. Everybody was a free speech warrior for so long. Oh, it's all about free speech. It's all about the marketplace of ideas. You know, the thing is you give me an argument and I argue back with you, and that's how we hash things out in this marketplace of ideas. And that's what Twitter should be. We should never ban anybody from Twitter. Well, what are you doing here? You're silencing voices you disagree with. You're like, you know what? That person just got banned IRL. They got banned IRL. That's basically what happened. But you can have this Wild West place on the internet where you can say the most vile, hatred, racist shit you could possibly imagine. You could post fucking snuff films and whatever the fuck else you want. And then this person is involved in a fucking protest that you dislike. And you send them out of your country? What kind of fragile fucking like administration is this that they have to deport people who disagree with them?
Dude, isn't this the ultimate cancel culture?
It is. It is 100%.
What is a bigger cancellation than to take the speech, than to say the speech of this person so offends me, I've removed them from this country.
Yeah.
Free speech absolutism is nothing more than hate speech masturbation.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
All that shit is.
Yeah. Because what they do is they censor all kinds of speech.
Yep.
They censor all kinds of speech. And that's what they're doing here. They're censoring plenty of speech. But they're projecting, saying, oh, it's all about the marketplace of ideas. If it's about the marketplace of ideas, then have a counter protest about why they're wrong.
Yeah, and these are the same people, like these people who want to deport, just exactly and only the people that they most disagree with are the same people who will go online and ask you why you're triggered when you try to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Like they're liars to the core. What they want to do is they want to remove counter arguments. They want to remove people from the country, from the conversation, from the plan, from the platform, from wherever, from the university. They want to defund them. They want to use institutions of power to do this stuff. And that is very different than what the right calls cancel culture. What the right calls cancel culture is oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes a grassroots pushback against people who have bad ideas or who have behaved badly. It's not always that. I know that. But it is oftentimes that. That does not use the levers of institutional power. That is a grassroots organization of people holding usually powerful people to account. Again, not always. But that is oftentimes what it is. This is entirely different. This is leveraging the tools of the state.
Sure.
That's fantastically different. And either you value something like the First Amendment as an idea and not just a legal principle, but as something which is just good, or you don't, right? You can't say like, I get freedom of speech and you don't get freedom of speech. It's something good for our society when I have it.
Yeah.
And it's bad for our society when you have it because your paperwork doesn't match.
Yeah. And they're doing this not just to the people who, they want to deport. So they're doing it to, like we saw, to college students, but they're also doing it to people in this country, attacking plenty of institutions that still have DEI programs, right? So if especially colleges, they're withholding funding, they're going to do everything they can against certain states that don't follow the rules. So they're censoring all these other places, like that's the thing is, if you have a business, who is the government? Like most of the time, these people on the right would say, if I have a business and it's a private business, I have every right to run that business however I want. But instead, the right is now using the levers of power to withhold things from those businesses and punish those businesses whenever they can. And these businesses might be universities. They might be entire universities that they are using to say, we don't want DEI here. We want to make sure we eradicate everything that is DEI from all the places in the United States. And they might retaliate to people overseas who happen to have DEI things. Like they're doing whatever they can to try to eradicate this, because what they want is a white nation. What they want is a white Christian nation. That's what they've wanted since the beginning. That's literally the blueprint in Project 2025. And I just want to point out, if you look at what's in charge right now, what's in power, this is what it is. And that's the best we have. White people suck. I just want to say that straight out. You can just see, like, look at it. We've already created, right? We've assembled the top white ethno-Christian state minds, and we put them in government. And we look at how bad it is, man. Like, this is not the master race. This is a pathetic group of fucking absolute ignoramus slobs that have no idea. Just look at how Trump even just dresses. Like, he dances like he's jerking things off into his face. He listens to music that's 50 years old. He has a tie that comes down to his knee. He has no style whatsoever. He's an absolute, just a mound of grossness, right? And that's the best thing we have. That's the best thing that we created. Like, this country would be nothing without the people who helped build it. And what they're trying to do is separate themselves. Well, what they are is the fat grotesqueness that has rose to the top of the white supremacy. They have rose to the top up there, and that's what we need to fucking skim the fuck off.
I wish I had a choice, but my hands are tied with this inflation.
Stories from The Independent. Trump administration accidentally sent Maryland father to Salvadorian mega prison and says it can't get him back. Now, I take issue with a couple of items on here, just from the headline. First, I don't believe that it was an accident.
No.
So where it says accidentally, the Trump administration is saying that this was an administrative error, but they are also doubling down and saying that the person that they sent, Armando Abrego Garcia, they are saying that Armando Abrego Garcia was a gang member, that he should have been deported, that it was a good thing that he was deported. And when it says that they can't get him back, the administration says they're not going to try.
They're not even going to try. Yeah.
And they have said, in fact, not only are they not going to try, but they've said that the federal judge that basically said, hey, you can send this guy out of the country, but you can't send him to El Salvador. That was the rule. They said, you don't even have the right to ask us to try to get this guy back. That's how much this wasn't an accident, right? Because I'll tell you what, Cecil, if I have an accident, if I do something by accident, I try to fix it. There's no attempt here to fix this because this is an intended consequence. This isn't a mistake or an administrative error.
Yeah, this is exactly what you said. They have gone out of their way to do this. And now the thing is that the Trump administration constantly has no real message of its own. They don't know how to follow their own message. They don't really have a cogent message. So they just throw a bunch of spaghetti on the wall and hope something sticks. So they will tell you 6 different things and they will conflict and they don't care. So they don't give a shit. So if they say, yeah, it was a mistake, but we meant to do it. That's what they meant. That's literally what they mean to say. They don't have a cohesive message. So of course they're going to say something like this. This is a horror. And they're putting they're they're sending people who aren't from El Salvador to El Salvador. Right?
Yep.
They're sending people who aren't, and they're sending people who shouldn't be sent there. We're talking about, and this is something that even like I saw a clip this week. I didn't get a chance to see the actual show, but Joe Rogan is even reacting badly to this. Like, so this is something that even Joe Rogan is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Well, it's like, dude, you literally 2 shows ago said I helped get the guy elected. So yeah, maybe you should fucking eat a little crow right now. Maybe you should be out there saying this is a bad call. Maybe you should fucking get him on speed dial. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
He's on your fucking show. Why don't you text the president or somebody near him to be like, hey man, this is a bad fucking call. The problem is all these people who enabled this guy, all of them take a fucking big giant step back when it comes time to fucking rein him in.
Yeah, well, because I don't think that they believe, I don't even think Joe, like I don't believe Joe. Like I don't believe him. And the reason I don't believe him is because Trump is doing exactly what he fucking said he was going to do. None of this is out of step with what he has said he was going to do the whole time. Yep. He said this is what he's going to do, then he did it. And everybody's like, whoa, we thought you were trolling. Why? He keeps doing the things he says he's going to do. He actually doesn't troll all that hard at all. He either does the things he says he's going to do or he tries and fails. But very rarely does he just say shit. That's made up. That's an excuse. This poor fucking guy that was like sent to El Salvador, for people that don't know this story, this guy he came into this country. He was undocumented. They did not grant him asylum. But what they did say was, you are allowed to be sent out of this country, but we will not send you to El Salvador. And the reason he was not going to be sent back to El Salvador was because we recognized that it was unsafe to send him back to El Salvador. Where he was from, he was being pursued by gangs. He was unsafe. So going back to his home country would have been unsafe. So the judge said, all right, there's a name for it. I forgot. It doesn't matter. But they said, all right, you are allowed to be deported, but not to El Salvador. This guy has no criminal record. Everybody, all the people that you challenged during the run-up to the election, he's only going to send out the criminals. He's only going to say, this guy has no criminal record. And the White House came out and said his lack of a criminal record is proof of how duplicitous he is. His lack of a criminal record is evidence, Cecil. The administration said this shit. His lack of a criminal record is evidence that he's basically good at not getting caught.
That's straight up fascist shit. That's straight up fascist shit right there.
You at this point, what are you supposed to do? Commit a crime or not commit a crime? It doesn't matter. At this point, we've always been at war with Oceania.
Yeah, man.
Right? It's fucking double speak.
It's gone intergalactic.
What was I thinking? Leaving you kids alone unsupervised.
This is from Salon.com. We made a mistake. GOP Representative Bacon suggests limiting Trump's presidential tariff powers.
I'm going to play this clip for everybody. We'll play it so we can see it.
Right. Yeah, so this is Congressman Don Bacon.
Bacon? It looks like he used bacon grease on his mustache, to be honest.
He does look like if somebody was going to be named Don Bacon, it should be this guy.
All right, here we go. We're going to play Don Bacon and Wolf Blitzer.
To the United States, but Fords and Chevys made in the United States, all those prices are going to skyrocket. Now, could Republicans in Congress specifically be doing more to push the president to try to de-escalate his trade war? What leverage do you have?
Well, in Article 1 in the Constitution, really tariffs should be a congressional initiated action. So this should come from Congress. However, I think we made a mistake. In the past, we passed legislation that gave the president some temporary tariff authorities. And I think we should look back and maybe restore the power back to Congress and take away the authorizations that we've allowed the presidents, not just President Trump, but President Biden and President Obama before him. This power should reside in the House and the Senate. And we have the power of the purse. And so I think we should restore these authorities back to the House.
Well, that's an interesting proposal. Let's see if that happens.
Wolf Blitzer, that was great.
Wolf Blitzer is an amazing straight man. Look at this guy. Tell me he doesn't look like an older brother to My Pillow guy.
He does.
Doesn't he look like Mike Lindell's
like
bigger
Lindell,
brother? Like he knocked Mike Lindell's pillows out of his hand as he was growing up or whatever. Yeah, here's the thing. First, this would work now. This would work really well right now if they did this, because if the Republicans get behind it, for sure the Democrats would. So,
oh my God,
definitely pulling power away from Trump. And like I said, even if it goes up to him and he vetoes it and says, fuck you, I want to keep this power, it doesn't matter if you can get a veto-proof bill. So you could feasibly do this and get around this guy and actually do this. So like this is a good thing. Get this guy, encourage this guy in any way you can to try to do this sort of thing. This could be the thing that stops what you're suggesting, which could be a really, really bad economic downturn. It could be that some of these Republicans get together and say, hey man, let's fix this. And this is something I am 100% for. Work with them 100% to try to save the economy. Don't fucking let Trump drive this thing into the earth.
Yeah, man. And the reason that Trump has these powers is because he has, we grant the president certain extraordinary powers during times of emergency. The problem is that we also grant the president the power to declare the emergency. So he's operating under emergency. I don't know that people really understand that either. He's operating under emergency authority. Based on an emergency he fucking declared in order to gain access to the emergency powers. It's the whole thing is a fucking tautology. This is like the Ouroboros law. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, there needs to be some checks there. There needs to be some checks there where somebody says there's not an emergency, you can't do that, and then they stop doing it. Yeah.
You should be able to challenge the emergency's veracity, right?
Yeah.
So somebody should be able to challenge that. But there doesn't seem to be any mechanism for this at all.
Yeah.
And so as long as we just continue to grant broadening authorities to the executive branch in times of emergency, all you're doing is incentivizing them to declare random days in April emergencies.
The combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life. That's the kind of thing an idiot would have on his luggage.
Hey man, this is from the Trump. This is cool. The Guardian, rather. It's not from the Trump. Jesus. This is from the Guardian. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz reportedly conducted business via Gmail. Not even a private email server. Cecil, Gmail. Oh, and Cecil, what was it? What was it that he used it for? Oh, official government business. What kind of official government business? I don't know, discussing military positions and weapons systems with other colleagues in government agencies.
Weird. What kind of, here's what Gmail does. Like when I send out messages, Gmail collects all that information and then they send me ads based on the things that I talk about in my emails. Do you think they send him ads for like weapon systems?
But there's like ads from like Lockheed Martin and BlackRock.
Yeah. Do you have enough missile defense in your home?
Hey, I got an ad. I got another ad for sarin gas. God damn it.
Could you, what the fuck, dude?
I swear this thing is listening to me. It's sarin gas all day.
There should be like a little thing that pops out on your computer and it releases sarin gas when you're part of the government and use Gmail to send that kind of stuff.
Gmail also has like an AI feature that like will it reads and archives everything you write, and then it is able to use that to suggest responses. Right? So it's like,
it's like if
Clippy
Yemen?
was like, are you trying to start a war? Like, what
it's
the
like
fuck, Clippy?
Clippy comes in, he's like, would you like to bomb Yemen today?
Yeah, right? Cecil, if World War III is initiated by fucking Clippy, some fucking 2025 Clippy.
Here's what I want. If we're going to do that, we need to make all the drones look like Clippy.
Yes. Oh, Cecil. Can we get rid of the machine gun flamethrower dogs and just have Clippies?
Just have Clippies. Little Clippies with legs.
Dude.
Running around from Boston Acoustics or whoever makes that fucking thing, whatever that company is, Boston, whatever, Dynamics or whatever.
Boston Dynamics, yeah.
Yeah, but Boston Acoustics is different.
That is different. I had those speakers in the 90s. Cecil, this is just my thing, but like, I will sometimes watch those Boston Dynamics videos.
Yeah.
And I just like sit and I'm like, you guys all know we shouldn't be doing this.
There are some things you shouldn't do.
Wait, like as the thing gets better and more nimble and like does backflips and twists its own head around and shit.
Yeah, man.
Look, when the robots
that's what the Trump administration does when they try to explain their policies.
When the robots finally march on humanity, I will, however, be thrilled to see like a fucking phalanx of Clippies marching down the street in my hometown. I'll run out and greet them. Greet him, man.
Would you like to die today?
Hey, man. It's as good a day as any, Clippy.
Tom, it looks like you're ready to die. Are you ready to die today?
It's about time you came here.
Gosh.
What has been?
I want to say too, this this is a horrible thing. This is just somebody who's just this is somebody who you should be trusting with, national security since he's in charge of it. And you would be like, hey, man, we're trusting with national security. But you know what? Here's the thing. You can just use like God, could you imagine if they fucking spoofed him somehow? Or if they fucking got him to do some kind of crazy phishing attempt and they get in there and they're just like, I shouldn't be in here.
Yes. Jesus Christ, man.
Did you see the late breaking story that Laura Loomer came to the White House today? And after she left, they fired 4 different national security people.
What?
Yeah, so they couldn't get her to like comment on it, and they couldn't get they didn't get a chance to talk to, like, I don't think the administration commented on it. I don't think Loomer commented on it, but there's correlation between the two.
Yeah,
we're not sure about causation, but there is definitely correlation between Laura Loomer showing up and people being fired.
Can we
Can we
Can
not
we
have
live in a less
conspiracy
crazy,
theorists?
insane, stupid world
I
where like
just,
the
like-
worst, dumbest people are not in charge of?
I just don't want conspiracy theorists in charge of things. Can we just avoid that? Is that possible?
Jesus Christ.
Can I get off the ride?
Just
Hey, Boston Dynamics, send one of those Clippies.
Yeah, send a whole swath of Clippies over here.
Send us a glory hole Clippy.
Ooh, glory hole Clippy.
You know, you are inserting your penis in here. What would you like to have happen?
You all agree to take the brain drain, and I'll rip up this contract and set the kids free.
Well, talk about brain drain, Cecil. It's
man.
inevitable. This is from Yale News. 3 prominent Yale professors depart for Canadian universities, citing Trump fears. And of course they are.
Expect this. Expect it with scientists. Expect it with researchers. Expect it with any kind of people who are trying to innovate in this country. You're going to see a ton of brain drain in this country because he's trying to bring back stuff that was 50 fucking years ago manufacturing. He's not looking to the future to do anything. He's not looking towards new technology. He's not trying to reintegrate any of that stuff. He wants to fucking make TVs here, man. So understand he's going to make cars and TVs here where they can do it way better and way more efficient and way cheaper in other places of the world instead of working on a new industry or trying to do something else that could possibly reinvigorate us in a different way or think outside the box. None of that from the Trump administration. We're just going to go, what we're going to do is we're going to turn back the time when America was great. But what they're forgetting when they do that is that they're not taxing the rich like we used to.
Yeah, man. Well, and also there was never a time when America was great. Of course, that's ridiculous. But this is what happens when the anti-intellectuals are in charge.
Yeah.
When you have anti-intellectuals in charge, stupid people by definition are running the show. You don't have intellectuals anymore running the show. You don't have intellectuals even informing how the show should be run. You don't have people deferring to the intellectuals for how the show should be run because this strain of anti-intellectualism has pervaded and defined this current government. I was reading something, I don't know, yesterday about there's this guy who he won a great big award. I can't fucking remember the name of it. It's basically like hey, you found out something important in science award. And it's based on his Parkinson's research. And he's like a big fucking deal. And Parkinson's, by the way, is the leading neurodegenerative disorder. It is more people get Parkinson's than any other neurodegenerative disorder. It's a big deal. And it's on the rise as our population continues to age. There's a guy who figured out basically, hey, kind of nobody knew how Parkinson's worked and what caused it. And he figured out the folding of these proteins, big deal stuff. Figured out big deal, fundamental science stuff. He worked for the NIH. They fired him. He just won an award that Elon Musk gave a fucking speech at last year, Cecil. He won the award. It's like firing the keynote speaker at the fucking TED Talk that you fucking introduced about the thing you like. This guy lost his job at the NIH. We are losing our ability to save lives.
Yeah. The European Union and Canada are going to scoop these people up.
Yeah.
They're going to scoop them up and then they're going to lead the way. They're going to be the ones who lead the way in these places because when you have brain drain like that and when you isolate and when you attack smart people in your country and cause them distress and make them leave and make them go to other places so that they create stuff, you are left behind. You know, we said this last time when we said when you alienate your allies and then they find other people to be allied with and they've replaced you, they've fucking replaced you. And here's the same thing. When they leave and they go somewhere else, they have replaced us. They have replaced the things that were funding them, the places where they worked, the places where they'd stayed, the places where they continued to create new things in this economy for this country. When they replace us, we've been replaced and there's no incentive for them to ever come back here.
That's right, man. Yeah. We're going to, even if all this stuff, if all this bullshit works, what we'll have is people building cars in factories here and we'll have pharmaceutical companies offshore. We'll have the best, the brightest, the smartest, the most innovative fucking Silicon Valley can move, man.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It doesn't have to be here. All that stuff that really is the fucking afterburners behind the economy. It's not building fucking cars.
Yeah.
It's not,
and
it's
it hasn't
not fucking
been for,
doing that stuff.
It hasn't been for decades, man. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this week. Before you go, before you turn off the show, don't turn off the show yet. Don't turn off the show. We're going to be having a live stream this month. The live stream will be happening on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, April 25th. It is going to be a 4-hour live stream. We're hosting it on the Cognitive Dissonance channel. It is the Creator Accountability Network fundraiser. We're going to be doing it. I'm going to be hosting it with Aaron Rabinowitz, and Sarah Tullin's going to be there. There's going to be a ton of people who are going to show up. The puzzle guys will be there. Vice Rhino will be there. Captain Dadpool will be there. Both the people from Philosophers in Space, so both Aaron Rabinowitz and Ursula will be there. Opening Arguments is going to be there. Family Skeptical. There's going to be the Anthems podcast. There's a bunch of other people that are going to be showing up. We're basically, if you don't know what Creator Accountability Network is, Creator Accountability Network is something that we belong to. They provide training on harassment and abuse prevention. They have a hotline. They have like a complete restorative justice system to address issues of harassment. And Creator Accountability Network is something that Tom and I helped create. We invested money. We gave money when it first started. We gave a nice chunk of sort of seed money to help push to make sure that this thing happened. We were one of the first creators who were credentialed in the Creator Accountability Network. We were, I think, the second people who were credentialed through this. We went through the training. We put the tag at the end of the show. So we are part of the Creator Accountability Network. Well, the Creator Accountability Network exists, but they don't actually charge us for this. All the work that they put in for the communities that we reach out to. Instead, they just look for donations. Well, they're hoping they can raise up some money. There's going to be a sort of a live stream where fandoms are going to go up against fandoms. So my suggestion is show up to this live stream, save your pennies till the end of the month. It's on April 25th. Like I say, it starts at 6. It goes until 10, and they'll be posting the schedule as time goes on. But basically, show up, hang out, be in the chat, talk with us. We're going to be doing a 4-hour live stream. And then when that's happening, they're going to be accepting donations. So donate during the time of the person who you want, and there'll be little notes that you could say, hey, I want this to go to the puzzle guys. They're the ones who I want to donate on behalf of. And then they're going to be counting it up, and then they're going to see which fandom beats the other fandom, and then they're going to, ethically torture the other one. So you get to see what that means. Yeah, that means what Aaron Rabinowitz wants it to mean. Right. So come and show up. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a 4-hour long live stream. It's on a Friday night. Save your pennies till the end of the month. CAN does good work. They're good people. They're trying to make sure that this community is safe, and all these communities that they touch. So it's not just like this niche community that we have. It's all kinds of communities. These are all different communities, all these bubbles they meet. And CAN is working with all these different places. So they do good work. So please show up if you can. I'll keep plugging it until the day. So I'm going to keep talking about it until it happens, but it's going to be on a Friday night. So please, please, please show up. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this week. We are going to skip a show this week. We would normally release a funny show this week, but we're going to skip a week since we're doing our live stream on a Friday. So not this Thursday, but the following Thursday will be a funny show. But we're going to just be back next Monday for a new fresh hell. And we're going to leave you like we always do with the
Let's
Skeptics
play another
Creed.
episode of How Bad Can It Get?
Pretty bad. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptics Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi-alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards.
Well, I need my
nuts
to work.
Shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/dissonancepod. Help us spread the word by sharing our content. Find us on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads, all under the handle @dissonancepod. This show is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.